Well, good morning from wild, wonderful, windy Amarillo, Texas. We're back on old Route 66. And of course, every road warrior, when he thinks about Route 66 through Texas, immediately thinks about the most famous roadside attraction in Texas and maybe in America, Cadillac Ranch. First created in 1974 by the Ant Farm Collective, a group of avant-garde artists, and funded by Stanley Marsh III, and later moved to its present site in 1997 when the city of Amarillo was growing and encroaching upon the view at Cadillac Ranch. For 52 years, it's been one of the most iconic roadside attractions in the world. And it's only gotten more popular with the advent of Instagram. And now, of course, they even park a trailer out here that sells merchandise and spray paint, so it's gone up even another notch. I was just telling my son London that when I used to go on tour in the punk rock band days and we would come out here when the cows were thicker than the tourists, you'd have 2 or 3 people out here at a time, and almost nobody brought spray paint with them, right, unless they were prepared, which was very few people. But after you could do it for the gram, and after there's a trailer out here literally selling spray paint to all comers, everyone in America is taking a turn out here. I remember the days when you could paint something on one of these Cadillacs and I could come back through 2 weeks later on my way home and see at least part of it still visible. Now, just in the last couple of years, things get painted over so quickly. I mean, hour by hour, that you could see just the layers and layers of paint that eventually fall off of this stuff like some kind of petrified wood or stone. Oh my gosh, there's literally stalactites of paint on these things now. When London and I were out here 2 years ago, there was a giant puddle around the base of these things from all the rain, so we never got a chance to spray paint on the car. So we went to Walmart, we dutifully bought some paint, and now I'm about to take a crack at it, even though I know it'll get painted over within the next 20 minutes out here. Oh, what a fun one. Not the best can of paint I've ever had, but it'll work. All right, I'm going ambitious here. I'm going ambitious. This is really weird because I am standing on nothing but paint, and it is so spongy and rubbery. I feel like I'm in a bounce house. Heck yeah, I do like that. Okay. Oh yeah, it's coming together. It is coming together. Not my finest work, but it's all right. All right, London calls this PP Randomland because that's the only other color we could find at the Walmart today. PP. I prefer mustard Randomland, but you know, it works. That might be as close to good as I can get it. Okay, mission accomplished. Now we'll see how long it lasts. Oh yeah, look at that. Looks pretty sick, looks pretty sweet. I'm sure it won't last, but for the moment, we've left our mark on Cadillac Ranch. We had to go all the way down there at the end because, as you can see, there are dozens of people out here furiously painting up a storm, and more on the way. There we go. Now that's what I like to see. It's so funny, as soon as we walked away, people were clustering around because it makes a good photo op having Route 66 on there. Yeah, there he goes. London's doing it. He's part of it. Ooh, a Cadillac Ranch monster. Anyway, like I say, now we've come out, we have painted, we have seen the most popular roadside attraction in Amarillo. Unfortunately, even for Route 66 travelers, this is usually all they see in Amarillo. Well, unless they stop at the big Texan steakhouse, which we should be visiting later today as well. But both of those attractions are right along the modern Interstate, which was the last path of Route 66 through Amarillo. But there were multiple alignments of Route 66 in Amarillo throughout the years, and there are literally hundreds of classic Route 66 motels and everything scattered across the landscape. But since it is the 100th anniversary year of Route 66, I've decided to narrow it down today to one particularly well-preserved original portion of the road. Before they built wide, freeway-like sections of the highway through Amarillo, the Mother Road went right through the heart of the populated areas of the town, and depending on how you count it, it's 13 or 15 blocks solid of old gas stations, motels, commercial buildings, and all of it is super, super well preserved in what is now the historic 6th Street District down here in Amarillo, Texas, and it is absolutely chock full of amazing stuff. On one end of it, it's flanked by a giant water tower with Route 66 emblazoned right on the side. On the other end, the east end, is this, one of the wildest buildings on Route 66, sort of shaped like an old castle, and multiple times voted the ugliest building in Amarillo. Although I can't say I 100% agree with that. It's the Nat, aka the Natatorium. And it's got 2 interesting exits over here on the side of the building. It's shaped like a castle, and on 6th Street, the north entrance of the building was designed to look like an ocean liner. Although I must say, I've never really seen it myself. Does that look ocean linery to you? Now, this place first opened as a massive outdoor swimming pool in 1922, and then the building was built around it. But in 1926, the pool was covered over and the whole thing was converted into a dance hall and music venue where supposedly people like Nat King Cole, Buddy Holly, and Elvis Presley played inside. Today, it's an antique store and it is absolutely massive in there. Dude, check this out. From the entrance, not super impressive, but if you keep going back, and back and back and back, eventually the true size and shape of the building reveals itself to you. Dude, would you look at the size of this place? It's hard to believe there was a swimming pool underneath our feet at one point. For time purposes, I won't go into everything that's in here, but let's just let's just leave it at there's a little bit of everything. In the back, you can very easily see where the old concession stand used to be, and if you go up the stairs, which are pretty darn rickety and crickety, the old concert hall balcony is absolutely huge and affords a very impressive overview of the main dance floor. Dude, this place is enormous. I can't even imagine it packed with concert goers. Imagine hundreds of screaming girls and their boyfriends packed up here to watch Elvis Presley play down there. Dude, this place doesn't just look old school, it feels old school. I don't think that there is a level surface in the entire building. It all feels like it could just blow away with the next strong wind. Absolutely freaking incredible. All right, I couldn't help myself. I did have to make a couple purchases, which as you'll see is phenomenally dangerous down here on 6th Avenue because it is absolutely full of old vintage stores, used bookstores, record stores, comics, games. These buildings right here across the street were built in the 1920s and are known collectively as the Bussey Building. The big building on the left we just saw there has a rad antique store in it. But originally there was a drugstore, there was a cafe, even a beauty school for decades over here. This was all built just as Route 66 was coming into town on the very earliest days of the route. Most of these buildings have therefore been placed on the National Register of Historic Places. There's tons of these plaques all up and down the road. And whether it's the art galleries or the antique stores, as you can see, they are very proud of their Route 66 heritage. Dude, there's some kind of cool hand-painted sign or some kind of prop or old historic sign or some kind of gimmick. By the way, when you're out here, make sure you go into Crocodile Lyle's art gallery. Oh, look at this inside the Lyle gallery out here. You've been making jewelry out of the paint from Cadillac Ranch? That is incredible, right? Look at all that. That's all just paint? Just polished up paint. That's amazing. Okay, so you just get the big chunks of paint. Oh my gosh, that's like fossilized. Yeah. Look at that. Oh yeah.
I met Bob in 1996. We were friends till he passed away.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Inspiration for Fillmore, you know.
Yeah. Got Bob Wallmeyer art back here. Look at these. These are really cool.
I did those.
Oh, you did these? These are amazing.
So I painted 10 famous Route 66 signs.
I love those.
Gave away the originals and I made note cards.
Oh,
Stacks of note cards.
that is awesome. Dude, Crocodile Lyle might as well be an ambassador for Route 66. He's got a lot of information in there for you. Here's some more vintage stores over here. Alley Cat's Antique Mall, this building right here, and another building across the street, both built in the 1920s, were constructed by the same guy, W.E. Cazell and his wife Ada. So all of the stuff down here dates back from the earliest part of Route 66. If you had come down here in the first year, 1926, 100 years ago, you would have been passing right by all of these when they had grocery stores, salons, like I said. They wouldn't have needed to house antique stores because back then all these antiques were brand new. Dude, the inside of Alley Cat's is an absolute labyrinth. I can't even imagine what they were selling up here in all these different rooms to fill this place up. It is literally amazing. Clearly the upstairs portion had a couple of apartments in it because there are a couple of kitchen sinks up here still. You see the old doorways and probably people's living rooms. Dude, it just keeps going and going. This is all just upstairs. I'm so lost I ended up at the North Pole. Dude, that place is amazing. That is one of the best antique stores I have ever been in. By the way, I love the trash cans down here on 6th Street. It's completely endless down here and very, very hip. A lot of bars and restaurants and poles covered with stickers and flyers. Half of that building's built into an old lodge building over here. Also, I believe from the 1920s. And then right next door, check out the next row of old storefronts. They are all now the game room / game quest. Super awesome vintage gaming store. And I think the coolest thing about it are the murals on the side. Look at that, you got some Mario murals down there. There's old school Super Mario, that's my Mario. And then look at Mega Man. Nobody ever pays tribute to Mega Man. I freaking love, I should have worn my Mega Man shirt today. Look at this, they got Link, they got that freaking dog. Oh dude, that dog. Those of you of a certain age will be with me in absolutely hating that dog right there. I see Sonic, Princess Peach. Across the alley, we got a little flavor of old Mexico, and then look at the row of buildings across the road. Now these are buildings I can totally picture an old 1926 Model T rolling right in front of. And I love that one of these old 1920s or 30s buildings out here is now a record store called High Fidelity. Look at that, records, comics, CDs, and more. Amarillo's funky little record store. And then look at this right across the street, an old 1950s Gulf gasoline station. It is now the Garage, the Route 66 event venue. You can rent this place out, but also rent out this sick prop right here. You can do your own Cadillac ranching and spray painting at your party. I love seeing old converted gas stations that don't just get abandoned. This was Route 66 from 1926 into the 1950s, so this would have been an original 66 gas station. That one's just the first of many, because as we keep on cruising down the street, more will reveal themselves. Dude, there's so many little bars and restaurants down here. It's Saturday as I'm standing out here, and 6th Street is already bumping, even in the middle of the afternoon. That place, Kitty Corner, Smokey Joe's, has been busy all morning, and I'm assuming it's gonna stay busy long into the night. I like how the sign up there says, re-established in 2009 under duress. Smokey Joe's Texas Cafe featuring chicken fried steak. And I've just seen group after group of bikers rolling up to that place today. Look at this, right across the street is something I absolutely adore in another row of old 1920s looking buildings, possibly the 30s. The first of many used bookstores, a little bit like the Ray's Occult Books of Amarillo. Look at this, it's called Antiques, I believe. And for 20 bucks, they do have tarot card readings inside the store for you, if you're into that sort of thing. Uh-oh. I'm glad they warned us. Ooh, very esoteric and weird in here, but they also have a whole bunch of vintage clothes in the back in addition to the books, which are indeed absolutely plentiful. This is the kind of place that could get me into trouble. Ooh, funky. Uh-oh. I wonder if this is where they do the tarot card readings. Dude, there were so many books in there that I wanted to buy, but I had to resist. I already spent money at the Nat. I already spent money at Lyle's gallery, bought a couple of cards that he painted. Look at this old garage right here where the window's been sort of half closed, or the garage door has been sort of half closed in, been converted into some kind of bar over here. It doesn't appear to be a sign on it. It may be connected to this though, a very historic bar indeed. The Golden Light Cafe, established in 1946, built by Chester Pop Ray and his wife Louise, ran by his son Charles Ray, and it's been in the same building ever since. Dude, you know that place has built up a lot of stories since 1946. That's one of those if the walls could talk. And imagine all the famous characters from history or from the movie, celebrities that have stopped here, politicians in Route 66 and either driven right past that self-same business or actually enjoyed a drink in there. It's pretty freaking fantastic. Ooh, I love this building right here. A little bit more mid-century mixed in. El Chapo. Apparently now, or at one point, it was a consignment store. Look at that mural right there. I love how faded that is. That has just the right patina on it. Looks like they got a couple of motorcycles in there at the moment. I'm not sure exactly what they sell, but if you come in here into this parking lot back here, I love that hand-painted sign over the door. Sorry, we're open. Across the street, there's another row of Epic storefronts over here. Epic, not because they have their old original neon signage, although look at this. Clearly at one point there was some old neon directing people to a business around the corner, or at least to a parking area for one of these. I really wanted to get inside of here today because I believe this is called the Costume Castle, or the Route 66 Costume Castle. They rent costumes here and they look pretty amazing. I don't know how well you can see it with the glare on the building, but up there are some of the coolest, freakiest Sesame Street mascot heads I've ever seen. I want every single one of those. Get a hold of me, Route 66 Costume Castle. Yeah, I wish I knew what that one was. It's not in any of my books or guides. Must have been a cool neon sign in its day, though. Look at this, it just keeps on going, row after row of classic old storefronts full of businesses that are still open. And there are so many hand-painted Route 66 shields and the murals absolutely everywhere. Look at this. It's the Scooby Gang headed down old Route 66 in the Mystery Machine. Dude, I love this sort of 1940s looking, very kind of Art Deco or streamlined modern building over here that now houses Cactus Vintage. See, there's more vintage stores here on 6th Street or 6th Avenue than I know what to do with. This is the situation where I wish I had a big trailer or something and I could just go antique shopping to my heart's content. Got another epic mural on the side, and then on the other corner, just across the street from that row of sick-looking black buildings that we saw, check this out. It's the fill-in station on Route 66. See, now that's how you convert an old gas station. It's not open right now, but it looks like a sick bar or a restaurant maybe. Got plenty of space out here on the patio. I like that they put the fake grass all over the old driveway for the gas pumps. That is an absolutely gorgeous mid-century gas station. I love the Sinclair dinosaur perched on top that I think came originally from another station. And they've got some pretty cool murals behind the live music stage out here too. Look at this, across the way, a couple of art galleries and a healing art studio. And then over here, I was just admiring the brickwork on the 6th Street Inkologist, who got a tattoo therapy parlor. Still got a lot of blank spaces, but the thing about tattoos is no matter what anyone says, they hurt. And it's just so epic. And everywhere you turn, so many sick Route 66 murals. I think this might be the first Pixar Cars related one I've seen out here today. But I've seen every kind of Route 66 mural there is. Look at that hog right there, and check it out. That's where we are, where the star is, just over halfway up the Mother Road to Chicago. Oh, look at that. You got a historic building kind of hiding behind these trees and this fence. On the building through the trees, I can see a Will Rogers Highway mural fading into the dust, but this fence mural sticks out much more. I don't know what that was back there, man, but there's some epic historic building hiding behind these trees. I'd love to see it without the foliage. It definitely looks like it's connected to this. The 6th Street Massacre Haunted House, not open at the moment, which I'm a little bit relieved about actually, because I don't have to go inside. Trust me, some of the towns we passed through lately are scary enough. Oh, I turned around behind me again towards the massacre. Look at that. Jack Skellington's got a camera coming out of his eyeball. Dude, let me tell you what, I picked one of the absolute worst days to walk up 12 or 15 blocks down old Route 66, but I couldn't help it. Look at all this amazing architecture. Dude, there's so many breweries and tap rooms and lounges and tattoo shops, motorcycle shops and car customizers. It's cool down here. Well, except that I picked one of the absolute worst days for a walk up 12 or 15 blocks, as it is well up over 100 degrees Fahrenheit out here. I don't know what it is Celsius. Come on, Celsius sucks. But how else am I supposed to get an up close and personal look at historic buildings like this? This is an old Borden Creamery dairy bar originally. The Heap O Cream, built I think in 1941. Got some pretty cool looking windows right there. I think this building was restored in the 90s, but it almost looks like it could undergo another restoration soon. Check out those portholes. I love the little awning sticking up there. Right across the side street, you have an old classic Texaco there. You can tell by the roof line that sticks out over what would have been the gas pumps. That would have been built right around 1939 or so. And look at this. It looks like somebody built their shop into and in front of an old house out here on Route 66. This one looks pretty abandoned. Hey, look at that. Is that Selena right there on the side of the building? Yeah, it's pretty epic. A pretty good cross-section of the whole history of Route 66 in the area from 1926 to the mid-1950s. I don't know what this building would have been, but the sign bracket looks very much like old gas station sign brackets, and clearly it's old. Looks like it could date all the way back to the 1920s. Look at that. The little urns up there on the top. The whole road, the whole district is on the National Register of Historic Places. It's kind of annoying though, because these plaques are everywhere, but no plaques with the individual history of the individual buildings you see. Of course, there are a lot of Route 66 websites and guides that will give you a glimpse into a few of them, but there's just so many out here. By the way, look at that old neon sign, the carcass of it. There's just so many buildings out here that are historic in nature. I haven't seen one website that documents all of them. Look at that over there. It looks like a big old possible car dealership. Look at all those big windows. Just when things start to get patchy and more open, there'll be another block clustered with old original buildings with murals all down the side. And the farther west you go in terms of Route 66, the more epic it really gets, because feast your eyes on this absolutely massive historic 1930s Magnolia gas station and obviously garage over here. Dude, this was a big operation. I could picture them having a cafe in there, a convenience store. No more gas pumps outside, obviously, but look at that architecture right there. The green tile, and now it's painted black. Black tile. No gas pumps out here anymore, but look at that freaking architecture. Look at the tile up on the roof. Man, they don't make them like they used to. I've never seen an Arco that looked like this. That is absolutely gorgeous. I'd love to get an oil change from a building that still looks like this. Looks like now this is all art studio space. Again, look at this, could have been another dealership because of the big glass windows, maybe some kind of department store, but it is connected to the old Magnolia station. A lot of art studios and pottery places here, but look at all this old, very unique architecture, especially for the panhandle of Texas. They were trying to go with that retro Spanish motif with the Spanish tile. A lot of the older architecture in Southern California looks somewhat similar just in terms of the era, the old brick. Look at those windows. Dude, this just keeps going and going and going. We are only about halfway through the historic district. This is a very unique building I found myself standing in front of. It's got another bookstore inside. I love to see a neighborhood with a whole bunch of bookstores. A huge old church across the street. And then look at this old building right here. This would have been the Dutch Mill service station and cafe in 1932. So it would have been a garage to fix your old Model T, Model A, whatever you got, and a cafe combination out here. And there once was a Dutch windmill on the corner to lure in motorists. It's gone now. And then it just keeps going and going and going from there. Things are starting to get spread out enough. I think I might go back for the car, but real quick first, look at this cool mid-century now gun shop called the Amarillo Armory out here. And look at that weather vane. That's the most Texas weather vane I ever did see. All right, let me go grab the car. It's getting too hot. Oh, now here's another classic Route 66 stop up ahead. Texas Ivy Antiques and Visitor Center with a not often seen and yet very iconic Texas 66 shield right there in the Ivy itself. This, by the way, is where you can get your Route 66 passport if you don't have one, or get it stamped. It's one of those places that has the old Route 66 roadside attraction signs on it. This place was built in 1921. It was somebody's home right on the old Mother Road. Oh, any place that has a cat laying on the counter goes right to my heart. Hi, Whitey. Oh, dude, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Some vintage G.I. Joes. What the heck kind of troll doll is that? Oh, that'd be perfect at the Blue Swallow. It's amazing that this house has been here for 125 years. It's amazing that this house has been here for over 100 years. It's amazing that this house has been here for over 100 years. You can go into lots of old vintage gas stations on the route, but not a lot of old people's houses. Ooh, looks like the side yard is full of treasures too. Man, would have been kind of cool to live here and watch traffic just increase and increase and increase outside. That was a great stop, dude. Any place with a cute and friendly little cat to pet. I have to admit, I am starting to miss my cats back at home. I bought the Route 66 Centennial coin, and look at this as I step out on the porch. I don't have far to go. Right away, look at this. I see the Handlebar and Grill built inside of a 1950 Texaco station, and then right across the street from that, another 1950s gas station and garage. This would have been a Cities station. Look at that weird, like, metal tile on the outside there. That is awesome, but I especially love this sort of chevron-shaped pump island roof. As you can see, this was most recently Mo Dog's Grill. I'm not sure if it's still open, but the old car is still out here. The old truck, rather. There's already been like countless service stations, multiple Texacos. You got the Cities over here. You had the Dutch Mill, Sinclair, Magnolia. There's still a couple more up ahead. Look at this, though. Look at this house on the corner of Route 66. The finest and busiest trafficked house in town. Look at this. There's another old house next to it selling bitty pies. Little bakery in that old house. That's a freaking huge house, by the way. Look at the size of those things. We're getting pretty close to the end here because I can see the big blue water tower down there on Southwest 6th Avenue. By the way, this whole corridor, this whole road used to be a neighborhood called San Jacinto. I think they still refer to it as that sometimes. San Jacinto Historic District, the Route 66 Historic District. It never died because, as you can see, it's still a very viable part of Old Town Amarillo. Although it's not the actual downtown with all the tall skyscrapers and stuff, but it's definitely the coolest part of town. And Crocodile Lyle was telling me that only about 20% of Route 66 travelers actually come down this road. Much like most visitors to the Louvre only visit the Mona Lisa or Venus de Milo, most Amarillo visitors only go to Cadillac Ranch or the big Texan steakhouse, and that's about it. Now I feel sorry for them and for my past self because this is freaking awesome, seeing a portion of Route 66. This thickly cluttered with old historic buildings, attractions, antique stores, gas stations, and look at this, these old car hop heavy places to get a burger, old houses and diners, and more plastic horses than you can shake a stick at. Dude, if there's one road in America that gives you a sense of what Route 66 was like coming through towns in the heyday, it must be this. Okay, almost to my next stop now. Herbert Martin's Phillips 66 station. Dude, just look at that thing. Built in 1963. So after this was no longer Route 66, because originally it was a Tudor style, old school Phillips 66 station right here, very much in the heyday of the original Route 66. Then in 1963, obviously, they did the big fat upgrade on the building. And look at her now, dude, that is epic. Look at that huge gull wing cantilevered pump island shade cover right there, several bays for their garage. And then I love that mid-century angled lobby right there with the angled glass. No more gas pumps out here. In fact, pretty much nothing out here but a couple of pigeons that just flew out of the roof. I don't know what this building was last. This says no public phones or restrooms right here. It looks like it was still maybe an auto shop. Still got the big bay doors out here covered up. And across the street you can see some other older garages and service stations. Yeah, it's like 12 or 15 blocks, again, depending on how you count it, but the amount of gas stations here, man, really gives you a sense of just how many cars were cruising down here. And there were so many cafes going back from before Route 66 in the early 1920s all the way up till the 1950s with the big sort of drive-in style roofs where the car hops would come up. In fact, at the end of Southwest 6th Avenue down here, just before the water tower and just before the old road kind of merges in with Amarillo Boulevard, the much bigger, more freeway-like portion of Route 66 from later on. There's one of those places, obviously recently known as Smitty's. Looks closed up now, but pretty freaking cool looking, man. Reminds me of Happy Days. Dude, I wish this place was open right now. I wish I could pull into this bay here and get somebody on roller skates to deliver me a frosty chocolate milkshake. Because it is hot as the dickens. All right, well, that's it for our trip down Southwest 6th Street today. Dude, there's so much more where that came from. You could spend 2 weeks just in Amarillo doing a scavenger hunt of nothing but old Route 66 buildings, much less other old highway buildings in this old yeller town up here in the Texas Panhandle. There's a downtown section, there's a section on the east side full of old motor courts and motels. The airport is built right over original Route 66 and an old German POW camp during World War II. You got the big downtown skyline, historic Western stores, and as I mentioned before, parts of Route 66 that got so wide at the later end of its evolution, they're almost like a modern freeway. And speaking of the modern freeway, of course, they did build that too, and right smack on the modern freeway, Interstate 40 through Amarillo, is one of the most famous Route 66 / roadside attractions of all time. At least if we're talking about food, it's the one, the only world famous Big Texan Steak Ranch. Would you look at the size of this place? Now it happens to be located right smack on Interstate 40 these days, but it's a Route 66 institution because that's where it originally got started. There was a business along old Route 66 called Underwood Barbecue, and I just went out and actually checked out the original building. Well, after that closed down in 1960, that is where R.J. Lee started the original Big Texan Steakhouse. And just about 10 years later, when the interstate replaced all that Route 66 traffic, a couple years after that, about 1976, it burned to the ground, but he rebuilt it again, even bigger and better than before. In fact, the operation got so big, they built their own motel next door. And now they've got an RV park down the street. I think they still send limos out to your hotel to pick you up if you need a ride down here. And it would be famous anyways, but it's even more legendary because this is the place. The original place with the 72-ounce steak challenge, where if you eat the giant steak and all the fixings under a certain amount of time, you get the steak for free. Now, London and I were out here 2 years ago. He did enjoy a steak, although not the big 72-ounce steak. And we filmed the heck out of this place, every little nook and cranny we could find. So our goal here today is not to film everything inside the Big Texan. It's a big freaking place, as you'll see in a second. Our goal is merely to come back and see if London can eat the 72-ounce steak and all the fixings in the same amount of time as the people who do the challenge. Oh man, look at the size of that steer. That's where they done get your steak from, boy. Now, all the locals will tell you this is not Amarillo's best steak here at the Big Texan, but it is the busiest steakhouse in the West. Whether or not locals think that it's the best, look at this, you gotta pull that old revolver to open the door. It is just the perfect place. Ironically though, you can't open carry your own handgun in this place. You can only borrow theirs. Oh my gosh, holy cow, London. I was gonna say crap, but holy cow works better in a steakhouse. This is gonna be a while, huh? Mm-hmm. So are they supposed to text you when we get a table? Yeah. think we'll get a Texan in about 17 hours or so. It works to their advantage at the big Texan, though, because they have so much else to do. They got the sweet shop, they got the barbecue counter, they got the shooting gallery over here. Pappy and Zoltar are out here doing their job. And look at this. This is what you have to eat under a certain amount of time. You have to eat a 72-ounce steak, which is this giant slab. Dude, that's thick, dude. A giant slab of beef. You have to eat this roll, and I'm assuming this lettuce, a couple of fried shrimp, some more lettuce over there, and a baked potato. Think you could eat all of that within an hour? I think it's within an hour.
I feel like I could.
What?
I feel like I could.
I also feel like you could. Because, I mean, last time, I can't remember, you're not going to beat any records. The first place was 4 minutes and 18 seconds to eat all of that. And they told us last time it was a tiny gal about the size of Allie. But last time you had a steak almost this big, and you had all the sides, so I feel like you could pull this off. I don't know if you've noticed, but Lennon doesn't really relish attention, which is why he won't let me get his caricature drawn by this cowboy over here, but also why he's not going to do the official challenge where you have to actually sit out there on that stage with a giant timer above you, and they do live stream it. So he doesn't want to actually be under the pressure of sitting up at the table with everyone looking at him. I don't blame you, because I don't like to eat like that either. I don't like to eat in front of anyone, actually. But we are going to order the same food and just see how he does. We'll time him ourselves. I don't think you actually get the steak for free unless you're on that thing and being timed, obviously, because I don't think they count the honor system at the Big Texan. But this will be the Randomland version of the challenge. Oh, heck yeah, dude. Now, I can't eat at the Big Texan. They are nothing near gluten-free. I am very strongly considering getting this hat and wearing it the entire time at the table just to embarrass London anyways. What do you think? Should I wear the foam hat? No. The entire time? Why not? I could wear the hat and I could scream, yeehaw! Like every time you take a bite. Every time you take a bite and you swallow, yeehaw! Oh, my gosh, look at this. I don't know if I remembered this at all. The rattlesnake. I know there's nothing to compare it to, like there's nothing to hold up to it for scale, but if that is indeed a rattlesnake, that is the fattest rattlesnake I have ever seen. They must be feeding that thing nothing but 72-ounce steaks, because it is thicker than my arm. Oh, there he is, the animatronic jackalope. Hello, jackalope. Now see, if they were really smart, they'd put security cameras in that thing so you could turn his head and like look at people, make sure nobody's shoplifting. I wouldn't shoplift in here. It makes me feel uneasy. Okay. If I can't dress up like a cowboy... Please let me dress up like a horse. Please let me dress up like a horse, London. I can sit next to you and go... every time you eat something. Please?
No.
Please?
No.
Please? I did actually buy a vintage cowboy hat today at the Nat. Oh my gosh, look at the size of this freaking coffee cup. Look at that thing. Anyway, I did buy one today, but it is the ugliest cowboy hat I've ever seen. I didn't notice that when I bought it. And I was going to wear that to try to embarrass London, but I'd just be embarrassing myself even more, so nah, that one's out. I'll wear it tomorrow. I don't mind wearing it on the open prairie where nobody's there to see, but I ain't going to let all these cowpokes see me like that. Oh, dude, look at that freaking plate right there. Okay, now that is kind of sick. London, if you eat that steak, I'm going to buy you this plate. Put your steaks on at home. That'll be your prize. Oh yeah, was that any good? Because you got that last time and you used all of it.
Yeah.
So you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very verbose. London wants me to let you know that he's only so quiet because he is starving. He has starved himself all day long on purpose so that he has room for all of the steak. Oh dang, boy. It's too bad we're on a budget at this point of the trip, because for $450 we can get some Longhorns for the front of the car. Allie is going to love them. We're still waiting for a text about our table. London bought a steak knife. He's putting it in the car. But I can't tell you about the steak. There's too much gluten contamination in that restaurant, but I can tell you the Big Texan Shirley Temple is really good. So this is worth it at least. Pardon me, I must be full. Oh, I think it's our turn. Oh, somebody's doing the challenge over there from Chicago, Illinois, joining the table full of folks being timed up there. They do have live streams of the challenges if you ever want to watch them. Just tune into the Big Texan live stream. London's looking at the menu. It doesn't look like you can actually order. At least it's not on the menu, the whole 72-ounce steak meal. The biggest one we can find is a 36-ouncer, so the menu definitely got smaller than last time. But we're going to ask the waiter. We're going to see what we can do. We're going to get London the biggest steak we can because he is dying of hunger. And I think he might slaughter me with his hanger if we don't get him some beef. We also found out if you attempt the challenge and you fail, but you sit up there, it only costs you $72 plus tax. However, if you don't do the challenge for everyone's entertainment, you just order the meal, it's much more. I don't know how much more yet, but I promised Lennon we would come to the big Texan and we would get the big meal, so whatever it costs, I will pay. Okay, we found out that the failure price, if you sit up there and eat it, right, is $72. It is $168 more than that to just order it as it is, but I promised London, and I saved up money just for this on purpose. This is a special occasion just for randomtown.com. Can London do the challenge?
Watch out, Fozzie, the crowd is turning ugly. Ah, you think that's ugly? You should see the dancing girls.
But seriously though, what happened to the dancing girls?
I think they do still have the singing cowboys here that go table to table. I'm sure we'll probably see, oh, I can actually see them upstairs, up on the balcony there. I'm sure we'll see them later.
I love that this is more money than we've even spent or are going to spend on a hotel room on the entire tour. But it's just worth it because ever since last time I've just wondered if you could do it. No pressure. I mean, he doesn't have to beat the record or anything.
I think they sit here longer than an hour.
Well, no, it was 4 minutes, the record, right? 4 minutes or something to eat all that. I don't expect you to do that, but yeah, I'll sit here as long as it takes. We'll see how long it takes. It will time you. I fully expect we're gonna have leftovers, but I'm willing to be surprised. Whoa! Look at the size of that thing. It looks smaller in the display. That's amazing. Okay, look at that.
That makes sense.
Look at all of that stuff right there that London has got to eat in 1 hour. You should set your own timer so you know when you want to start. This is amazing.
I was wondering internally how that thing was the 72-ounce steak or whatever.
Yeah, because it looks way smaller in the display. Look at the size of it.
All sliced up and roasted up and plump. That is the freaking fattest, hugest. Okay, did you start your timer?
Yeah.
All right, let's see how long this takes, London. The first bite is away.
How's it so far?
Pretty good.
Okay, first bite, pretty good. Let's see what he says after the last bite.
To me, it's not just the fact they give you a huge steak. You have to eat these fried shrimp. You have to eat at least one bread roll, which London already did before he even started this. They brought some bread and he ate it. A baked potato. I guess that's the salad dressing. I don't know what that is. Oh, some gravy, I guess. And you got to eat your salad too. So you have to eat all this crap, not just this. And trust me, dude, that's the size of your whole freaking chest. I don't know how that's gonna fit in you. Look at that. Meanwhile, I must have had me about 15 Shirley Temples.
Okay, that thing is legitimately fatter than London's arm. I mean, that's like a freaking Thanksgiving turkey
worth of freaking. It does smell very good though. I will give it that. It smells delicious.
Okay, look at this. It was filleted, so when he unfolds it, that's after he ate like a third of that thing.
Well, not a third, maybe a quarter of it. Look at the size of this. He's a happy camper now. He's been grumpy all day and angry. Now he's just like, see, we should have worn the big foam hats. Come on. Okay, this is the best because our server brought us a hat. She just put it on London's head. So there you go. He's got it. He's got it cocked to the side a little bit, a little swagger there as he enjoys his meal. See, the legend is, and it's printed on every cup here, the legend is that one time at the old original Big Texan, there were 4 cowboys sitting around a table trying to see how many 1-pound steaks they could eat within the hour, and whatever the winner actually ended up eating supposedly is equivalent to the modern day challenge with all the food and the sides and stuff. This supposedly inspired the owner to make the free 72-ounce steak challenge. That thing looks massive, but remember that the person with the record for the fastest time eating all of this is a tiny alley-sized lady. They said she was like 90 pounds or something like that, and 4'11" or 4'12". And she ate all of that in 4 minutes. I do not see how that is physically possible, but supposedly that's the record. Okay, this is the halfway point. He's eaten most of the sides, most of the salad, and I would say probably ounce for ounce, half of the beef so far. We're only 30 minutes in. I told him though, here's the thing, is like, he thinks he can probably do it if he just stuffed himself with it, but I'm like, dude, we still have to travel, so don't take any big risks. Yeah, we don't have an RV or anything, right? There's no bathroom aboard the RAV4. And nowhere to lay down if you just feel like the meat dizziness. All right, so we're at about 45 minutes or so, and there's no way he's gonna finish this.
but for several reasons. It came kind of way more rare than he wanted, so at one point they had to take it back and kind of refire it, and it was the waiting time. Like, oh, we could just pause the challenge with the waiting time. He was like, what'd you say? Like, the longer you had to wait, the more you were like, uh-oh. Yeah. It's like his body caught up. Like, what am I doing? Well, I wish I had more impressive news. But as London said, he's like, I did finish the shrimp, I did finish the salad. The good news is that London has 2 days worth, for any normal person, of steak dinners, which he can have leftovers for. But he did all that. By the way, it's only been 38 minutes as we stand out here now. So he gave it his best shot. And I figured out if we actually prorate the leftovers over a certain amount of time, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as it looks on the surface, although it was a kind of a hit. Of course, I'm going to remind him every day that it would have only cost $72 if he sat on the dais, but he said his introvertedness has screwed him. Here's the thing, though. Is it good? Would you recommend the big Texan?
I wouldn't recommend doing what I did.
Neither would I. But look at that, dude. You have so much freaking leftovers. Well, that was an expensive night, but you know what? The memory is priceless. I told him because he didn't complete the challenge, he had to wear the hat that the lady brought for him, and he actually agreed. He looked like a happy kid in the 50s. All right, gang. Well, that is it for the big Texan tonight. That is it for Amarillo. We got one more stop tomorrow before we head out of town. It is not our last stop in Texas, though. Tomorrow we are going to make our way to, I mean, as impressive as this looks, the coolest looking thing at night on Texas Route 66. For now, though, London wears the hat of shame, and he's about to take the fun pic of shame with the hat of shame. So I think that means we've done our duty. Go home and sleep well. If you'd like to help us recover the cost of this freaking steak and keep us on the road for future adventures, you can share this with a friend, like and subscribe, and do all those wonderful free things. Give it a fat thumbs up for London's best effort. He says he would have made it if it wasn't raw in the first place, though, because it was pretty rare in the middle there. I don't actually blame you for having the pause. Also, we got our sick merch, the best hot sauce in the world. That also would have helped. If you had my hot sauce on that, you'd be like, nah. And you can join our Patreon. You can do all that by going to randomland.com. That's all for today. See you on the next one. Go home, sleep well. Route 66, Big Texan. Yes, Texas! Sign right there. What the heck is that? That is cool. Visit Amarillo 66 100-year celebration. Neon sign on the thing. Doesn't look to have it's burned out. That's not good, but they can fix it. They got time. There's still a little bit of year left to go. All right, he didn't want to do this, but I was like, come on. We're wearing our cowboy hats together. Fist bump. Father-son fist bump. You feel okay?
No.
Too much steak for the boy. Oh man, he's been in California too long. He done gone soft.
A few weeks on the ranch will cure what ails you, boy.
Go home and yahoo! Texas.